Haradanastanandan Dairidam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Bhujo Dilisyam Janma Janmani Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. See, the Raghunath Das Goswami in his Vilapa Kusmanjali, he has written very beautiful Mangalacharan mantra for Srila Sanatana Goswami. Vyaraga Yuga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnaya Payam Mam Anabipsamandam Kripambudirya Padaduka Duki Sanatanam Tam Prabhum Ashrayami. Vairaga Yuga Bhakti Rasam. As we know from Srimad Bhagavatam that Vairagya automatically comes from Bhakti. We're not interested in just ordinary dry Vairagya. But Yuga means linked. That Vairagya linked with Bhakti. That is a very Bhakti Rasam. That is a very sweet ras. Bhakti Rasam. That was very tasty ras. Apaya mam anabipsamandam. Andam, I was in the darkest of ignorance. I did not want to take that sweet Vairagya Yuga Bhakti Rasam just by hearing it. Vairagya Yuga Bhakti Rasam, you can almost taste it. But I didn't want to taste. Raghunath Das Goswami is telling, I did not want to taste. Prayatnaya, but by force, Jabardasti say, that Sanatana Goswami made me taste that thing. Vairagya Yuga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnaya Paya Mam Anabipsamandam Kripambudiya Paraduka Duki. Kripambudir. He's the ocean of Kripa, mercy. Paraduka Duki. And he's only unhappy seeing others unhappy. And he's always very merciful to those who are unhappy. Sanatanam Tam Prabhu. He's my Prabhu. That Sanatana Goswami is my Prabhu. Ashrayami. And I take shelter of him. So today, being the holy disappearance day of Srila Sanatana Goswami, somehow I just gave class the day before, and although I'm not qualified to talk about such exalted devotees like Srila Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, somehow the Vaishnavas have requested me to speak, so though I have no realization, I have no qualification to speak on such great personalities, I'm just a little tota, parrot. I don't have any realization, but I just repeat. So I'll repeat some glories of Sanatana Goswami that I've heard. Hare Krishna. So, many hundreds of years ago, there was one Sarvagya Jagat Guru who was a Saraswat Brahmin in the state of what is now known as Karnataka. He was a Karnat Saraswat Brahmin. And his son was the illustrious Aniruddha Dev, who had two sons, Rupeshwar and Harihar. Harihar was the youngest son, but somehow Harihar, he usurped all the properties from their father Aniruddha Dev, and so Rupeshwar was left penniless. He began to wander here and there in different lands, and eventually his descendants settled in Naihati, one place on the bank of the Ganga. We've heard of Panihati, there's another place called Naihati. Our dear godbrother, who is no more, the late Purnchand Prabhu, he was just from near that Naihati. So I've been to that Naihati, been to Panihati also. From Panihati there was one Kumardev, And he moved to what is now known as Bangladesh. That time it was all one. To the district of Jessore, to a village called Fatehabad. There he built a house in order to be associated with all of the wonderful Vaishnavas of that area. Of course, nobody knows where that place is anymore. The house is long gone. They built them in mud. But ISKCON Bangladesh, in the district of Jessore, somebody donated some land, so it's not the actual place, so they call it the Smriti Tirth, in remembrance of Rupa and Sanat, Rupa Sanatan Smriti Tirth. It's the most amazing place, because you're just coming along. Actually, it's on near the border with West Bengal. So there's more Vaishnavas. Generally we know Bangladesh is full of Muslims. But that side, as you're going along this tiny little road, everybody, they're so joyful to see a Vaishnava, they all yell, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. You don't get that treatment most of Bangladesh. But anyway, suddenly out of the banana fields and rice fields, you see this enormous temple arise. Right in the middle of nowhere, this beautiful temple is there. And beautiful lakes are all around. All the Bengalis go crazy because in those lakes there's fish this big. It's a very beautiful place. You should visit sometime. So he established his residence there in Jessore, and then his son was Sanatana Goswami, who appeared in 1488, 5 years before his younger brother Rupa Goswami. Then there was third brother Anupam. At that time his name was Santosh. So at this time that area was ruled by the Nawab Hussain Shah. We've heard this name many times. And that whole area is known as Gaud. And eventually Rupa and Sanatan, they established their residence in a place in Gaud called Ramakeli. Very beautiful place. We went there with the safari of Jayapataka Maharaj. Not a safari, it's a safari, believe me. So, very beautiful place. We can't imagine what it... He built big walls around. Now they're completely overgrown with... They just look like hills. But big mud walls all around. And beautiful. There must have been, that time, everything must have been beautifully manicured. Now it's all fallen into disrepair. We can just imagine how... Now it's so beautiful. How much more beautiful it was when Nawab Hussain Shah was ruling. So as we all know, Bengal is a very flat place. There's hardly any hills. But kings are always worried about invaders, so they need some high place. We always see on top of the high mountain, they make the lookout post. But it is all flat, so he asked his minister to please make one tower. So that minister was very clever. He knew the only person who could design such a thing was Sanatana Goswami, who's that time known as Santosh. So he asked Sanatan to design and build this tower. So Sanatana Goswami, he organized everything. On the safari we saw that tower. That even after he built it so expertly, after 500 years, it's still standing. I forget the name, something Toran. I've forgotten the name. When the Nawab, he saw this beautiful tower, used to be able to go inside, but because nowadays the children are very rascal, they do rascal things there, they've locked it up. But they told me before you could go up and top and look, see all the countryside all around. So the younger generation, too rascals, so they've locked it up. But anyway, as soon as Nawab, he saw this beautiful tower, He asked this minister, who made this? He said, I made it. He said, you're not smart enough. There's all these kings, they're always very clever fellows. They can understand everything and they can judge people. He said, you don't have the intelligence to build such a thing. Who built it? So then he introduced him to Santosh. So then he made Santosh an offer that he couldn't refuse. Huh? You join my government as my prime minister, otherwise we'll perform a little surgery above the shoulders. Made him offer he couldn't refuse. So although he was unwilling, because that time Hindu society was very rigid and closed-minded, so if anybody, a Brahmin, because he was from, as I said, a Saraswat Brahmin family from Karnataka, if especially a Brahmin will take up the service of a king, Muslim king, then he will lose his caste and everything. So he became, and then he even gave, he made him the prime minister, called him Sakar Malik, and he made Rupa Goswami Dabir Khas in charge of the treasury. That treasury house is still there, and when we went to Gode, we saw that treasury house. It's still there. So while living in Ramakeli, even in their childhood, they were very fond of hearing about Krishna's pastimes. And in fact, they named all the places around their house, they named them the names of the 12 forests of Vrindavan: Talavan, Kamyavan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadiravan. They named all the places. And just near their residence, they dug out, excavated a Shamakund and Radhakund. And they established a beautiful deity named Madan Mohan. This is very interesting, because later the deity of Sanatana Goswami we know will be Madan Mohan. So we saw that beautiful Madan Mohan deity there. So Ramakeli is north, way north of Bengal, almost in the Bangladesh border. There though they were the main caste Goswamis excommunicated them, they still had many Vaishnava friends who used to associate with them, and they would discuss Krishna Lila and discuss the deep Vaishnava philosophy together with all of their friends. One day Sanatana Goswami got a dream that some beautiful Brahmin appeared at his door in the morning and presented him with a beautiful copy of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he suddenly awoke from his dream. He realized it was a dream. There was no Brahman, there was no Bhagavatam. So he was a little sad. Then, just as he finished his puja, there was a knock at the door. He opened the door. This beautiful Brahmin boy was there. And he presented him a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam and said, you study this, this will give you all perfection of life. And that Brahmin boy disappeared. Later Sanatana Goswami could understand that it was none other than Lord himself that appeared to the Brahmin to present him with the Maha Chakravarti Raja of all Praman, Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam so impressed Sanatana Goswami, he's written a verse that we find in Sri Krishna Lila Stava, 415th verse. Mareka Bhandhu Matsangin Madguru Man Mahadhana Mad Nistaraka Mad Bhagya Madananda Namostute. My only constant companion, my only friend, guru and wealth, that which has delivered me, my great fortune, and the source of all my pleasure, my obeisances to you, Srimad Bhagavatam. Want to hear that verse again? My only constant companion, my only friend, guru and wealth, that which has delivered me, my great fortune and the source of my good luck, the form through which I enjoy pleasure. My obeisances to you, O Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a wonderful verse, because I think we all have the experience that we, in very young age in our Krishna consciousness, we became very attached. Mysteriously we've become very attached to Srimad Bhagavatam. Because I know that time when I became devotee, we didn't have these nice Bhagavatams with nice print and pictures. They're all misspelled and letters backwards and so many things. Because they're all done by typesetting, so sometimes they put the letter upside down or backwards, and there was no editors. So English was very funny. And I became devotee in Boulder, Colorado, which is at the foot of the Rocky Mountains. So in the winter it became very cold and the devotees had no money to buy warm clothes to go on Sankirtan. So I was just sitting all day reading those old red Bhagavatams, and I was in bliss. Immediately I became very attached. I think everybody has this experience, that by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, you become very attached to it immediately. So I was very happy to hear this verse this morning, and I was studying about Sanatana Goswami. So eventually they sent me to LA to get trained up because it was snowing outside. It was almost impossible. Later we did Sankirtan even in the snow, once we got a little more established. So anyway, one time we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Puri on the pretext of going to Vrindavan. But Vrindavan is east, and Mahaprabhu went north. The road to Vrindavan is to the east, but Mahaprabhu went north. So many acharyas and many scholars believe that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually had no intentions of going to Vrindavan. He was actually only going to save Rupa and Sanatan and Jiva Goswami. Because he went to his own village, he went further on north, he finally came to Ramakeli. It's also described in Ramakeli, not only they named all the forests, but they used to plant tamal trees and kadamba trees and Madhavi latas, all the flowers we find in Braj. And that tamal tree is still there that they planted. We saw that tamal tree. They said just near that tamal tree, Mahaprabhu was sitting. As Mahaprabhu came there, he sat under that tamal tree. Because they had become completely destitute. They had heard from their friends about this Nimai Pandit in Navadip, in Mayapur. And they desired to go there. Then later they got the news that he had taken sannyas and gone to Puri. Then they left all hope of ever seeing. They became hopeless. So when they heard that same Nimai has taken sannyas and left Puri and come to Ramakeli, we cannot imagine their ecstasy. They had become hopeless. We'll never get to meet such a great Vaishnava. They were thinking he was a great Vaishnava at that time. Later they understood he was none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahi Anya. From a distance, because they were feeling themselves fallen, having been associated with the Muslim king and gotten the names Dabar Khas and Sakar Malik. They paid their obeisance from a distance, but Mahaprabhu saw them. He had his servants bring them close to him. He embraced them and accepted them as his own. Later he gave them the name Sanatan and Rupa. And he instructed them very deeply about the importance of he had already understood the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam and the importance of chanting the holy name, the Yuga Dharma. And it's interesting, just after Ramakeli they went to Kanai Nachala, then from Kanai Nachala Mahaprabhu returned. He didn't continue on to Vrindavan. Another reason many scholars and acharyas believe he only went to save Rupa and Sanatana, because they're the crest jewels of the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He got to Kanai Nachala where he got darshan of Lord Krishna. Because Rupa and Sanatana, they had advised him, because he was going along the path and thousands of people were going with him. And Rupa and Sanatana advised him that Prabhupada has not gone there and created the Krishna Balaram guest house or MBT, wherever you stay with all these thousands of people. Vrindavan is a small forest. This is no way to go. You should not go at this time. When they got to Kanai Nachala, Mahaprabhu got the darshan of Kanai, Krishna, then he realized the import of Rupa and Sanatan's advice. He returned back to Puri. Later he went through Jharkhand, the eastern path, through Jharkhand forest, he went to Vrindavan. So they began to study even more vigorously, and they thought, what is the use of our lives employed under this Muslim king? Then they heard that Mahaprabhu was actually again really left for Vrindavan. So Rupa Goswami somehow or other, he didn't have such an important post. So he managed to retire, and he headed toward Vrindavan to meet Sriman Mahaprabhu. But to Sanatana Goswami, he was the prime minister, he couldn't easily get out. And he was feeling himself trapped. One night a messenger came and said, it was a rainy night, torrents of rain were pouring down, lightning was flashing, thunder was sounding. He sent his messenger to call Sanatan, you must come immediately. So he went out, the wind was blowing, rain and hail and storm like anything. He was sloshing through the mud, so they're making sound. So one poor man and his wife, they were sleeping, they heard this noise. The wife said, no, some thief has come, because they heard these footsteps through the rain. And the man said out loud, he said, it cannot be a thief, no thief would come in this weather. Only kisi raja ko gulam. I said, Mosam mein aayega. The slave of some king. Only such a person can go out in a weather like this. And Sanatana Goswami heard this verse, these words. It struck him in the heart. What am I doing with my life, serving this Muslim king? I have to go out in the middle of the weather like this. This man has said these insulting words. Because what insult? He didn't know who was there, but he just spoke. Only such a person who's a slave of a king can go out in a night like this. Then he heard, he got a letter from Rupa Goswami, because they had the Nawab was very pleased with them and gave them unlimited wealth. It said that when Rupa left, he filled up a huge boat with gold and silver and jewels. But he left some money with one merchant, because in old days there wasn't banks. So people used to leave their money with the merchants. Now in ISKCON we know the merchant class as Vaishya. But actually in India we call them Baniya. So Baniya or bank almost sounds same sound. So he left some money with some Baniya and gave note to Sanatana Goswami. Finally Sanatana Goswami, after that night, he refused to go to his duties. And he began seriously studying Srimad Bhagavatam. He had 12 pundits come. And they were seriously studying Srimad Bhagavatam. He was sending note to the king that he was sick. The king sent his own. He couldn't rule his kingdom without Sanatan's advice. He was very wise. He sent his own physician. Physician came back. He's perfectly healthy. He's sitting with 12 pundits studying some Hindu books, scriptures. So the Nawab, he personally came to the house. He walked right into the house with his shoes on, those curly, funny little curly shoes that Nawabs wear. He stormed right into the assembly of Brahmanas. What is this? Every day you're sending sick notice. I sent my own physician. He says you're perfectly well. You must come, because I have to go to Orissa and fight with the king of Orissa. And Sanatana Goswami said, you've come to give pain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Jagannath. I cannot work for you anymore. You cannot retire. He says, I'm retiring. You do whatever you want. Then I'm throwing you in jail. Either you come to work or you go to jail. Then I'm going to jail. So he was thrown in the jail, and the king went off to give pain to Lord Jagannath. So meanwhile, Sanatana Goswami, he wasn't the prime minister for nothing. He was a very clever fellow. So he began to tell the jail keeper that, my dear sir, you are very pious, very learned in the scriptures, very holy person, very spiritual person. And jail keeper, how is he a spiritual person or holy person or very pious or learned in scriptures? Jail keeper is a low-class type of job. But Sanatana Goswami is a very clever fellow, because Prabhupada said for preaching, first you have to flatter somebody 50 times. My dear sir, you are so nice, you are so handsome, you have a beautiful house, you got the best degree from the best college, your children are all very obedient, you have a nice car. 50 times you praise them. Then you will catch their attention, because nobody ever spoke to him like that. He goes to the office and, oh, you son of a, like that they speak to him. Now somebody actually recognized me. Oh, wow, somebody recognized you, feel happy. Yes, sir, what do you have? What do you want to, what is it you came to talk about? Then Prabhupada said, you say, just forget all this and hear about Krishna. So immediately the Guruji, yes, I'm a very holy person, I'm very learned, yes, I'm very pious. And you realize that giving mukti to the living entities, you get lots of pious credits. Jailkeeper, he got some doubt in his mind by the mention of the word mukti. And the idea of pious credits didn't interest him at all. Although Sanatana was flattering him that he was very pious. You see, we'll get lots of credits, pious credits, by giving mukti to the living entity. So if you will free me from this jail, I will give you 5,000 gold coins. Now that interested him. Pious credits he did not interest, but 5,000 gold coins. He said, but what will those 5,000 gold coins do for me? If I let you go, the Nawab will cut off my head. What is the use? Because in India, nobody's talk straight. They always talk like this. You can scratch like this, but they'll... Actually, he's saying this, he wants to say it's not enough, but they can't say that. It's embarrassing to say it's not enough money. So they always make some false excuse. So Sanatana Goswami was clever. He understood what the intention of the jailer. He said, you just tell that I went to pass stool with my iron chains on the bank of the Ganga and slipped on the mud and fell in the water and drowned. And I will give you 8,000 gold coins. Meet you at 4 o'clock in the morning. So then Sanatana Goswami was released in the middle of the night. He went to his house, he took his servant Ishan, he said, don't take anything with you. Ishan kept 7 gold coins in his pocket. He said, well, we're going on a trip, how can we go without any money? Just like our Gopal Prabhu was challenging all you young boys the other day, that are you ready? Just go off. Prabhupada left with $8 in his pocket and went to America, or $8 is 2 seconds expenditure. Are you ready to go to the next village and preach without having anything? Are you ready? So Ishan wasn't ready. He kept 7 gold coins in his pocket. We're not ready to go on a trip without any money. So they went through all the back roads, because he knew that on the main highway, that's the first place they would look. So he took all the back roads. And they were just sleeping in the jungle at night. Finally they came, and there was one inn in the middle of the forest. Not like Holiday Inn, but simple place. And that innkeeper, he had an astrologer who had a very extraordinary parrot. And that parrot began to speak that someone comes with 7 gold coins. Hare Krishna, 7 gold coins coming, Hare Krishna. So just at that time, Sanatan and Ishan appeared. And so the innkeeper, he understood, this is a person with 7 gold coins. And Sanatan said, we're just mendicants wandering through the forest, we've lost our way, you please help us. Oh, my dear sir, my home is your home. You stay here with me, you take your bath, I have a very nice meal for you, then I will show you the forest way. So he immediately gave Sanatan and Ishan a room. He cooked very nicely. But Sanatana Goswami wasn't Prime Minister for nothing, he could understand. In Bengali we say, Atti Bhakti Churi Lakshan. That too much bhakti is a sign of a thief. Why? We're just mendicants, we can't give any money. Why? He's giving us room for free, he's cooking for us. Sanatana Goswami got some doubt, he was a smart fellow. He said, Ishan, do you have anything with you? Nope. Tell me, Ishan, what do you have with you? Well, I have 5 gold coins. Why did you bring that with you? I told you not to bring anything. This will be our death. And he, give me those 5 coins. He took those 5 coins. And he ran to the innkeeper. The innkeeper there had his nice long knife, and he had the grinding mortar going, zzz, zzz, sharpening his knife. And Sanatana Goswami threw the 5 coins on the table. So you please take this money anyway, anyhow, get us through the forest. Innkeeper said, oh, you have saved me from a big sin. I fed you so much prasad, I knew you'll fall fast asleep. Then I will slit your throats and take these 7 coins. 7 coins? Yeah, you're keeping 7 coins. I know. But you have saved me from committing the sin of killing a Brahmin. So you take your money back, I'll get you. No, 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 no. If you don't kill me, someone else will kill me. So you keep it. But you get us through the forest. So then he went back. Ishan, you have 2 more coins. You take those 2 coins and go home. I'm going on alone. And the innkeeper showed Mahaprabhu, showed Sanatana Goswami the path through the forest. Gradually, through the Jharkhand forest, because he was drinking very bad water and not getting proper food, he got eczema, sores all over his body, and pus was running and everything. He finally reached Benares. When he reached Benares, much to his surprise, he heard Mahaprabhu was staying there in the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. So he went there, he found out from everyone where the house of Chandrasekhar, he sat outside. And Mahaprabhu told Chandrasekhar, there's a great Vaishnava outside, you please bring him in. And Chandrasekhar went outside because Sanatan was living with the Muslim king, so he had a little beard like this, and all the symptoms of being a Muslim were there. Because a Muslim, whatever the Hindu would do, they'll do opposite. If we grow sikha like this, then they will grow beard like this. If Hindu shoes will curve like that, then Muslim shoe will curve, they'll do opposite. So he had a little beard like this. So he said, no, they're just some Muslim mendicants sitting outside. He said, no, no, great Vaishnavas. He went second time. He said, no one is there, only this Muslim. He said, no, no, you go. He said, all right, only this Muslim, you bring that Muslim. Then Mahaprabhu embraced Sanatana Goswami. And all that blood and pus was coming in. He said, no Lord, don't touch me, don't touch me. He said, no, I'm touching you because touching the bodies of the great devotees is very purifying. And then immediately Mahaprabhu looked at Sanatan and he told him, take him to Tapa Mishra and get him shaved up. So in that purport, Prabhupada says, we don't like our devotees to keep long hairs and beard. They should be shaved up. Mahaprabhu told him, go shave up. So he took his meals with Tapa Mishra. First they called the barber and he got shaved up and he got a nice bath. Then he just took a piece of cloth and tied one piece around his waist and one piece over his shoulder like that. You see everybody imitating nowadays. He came back, Mahaprabhu was very pleased. And for many days they sat on the ghats in Banaras. And he spoke the 3 or 4 chapters of Madhya Leela, very important, Sanatan Siksha. He gave him all the science of devotional service from the very beginning, Ado, Shraddha, all the way up to Prem. Every instruction is there. So many important instructions are there. Those 3 or 4 chapters, just like our Krishnanand Prabhu was just lecturing on the Sanatan Siksha. Very important chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. He had special BIHE course with Mahaprabhu as the teacher. Now during his travels through the forest, he had run into his brother-in-law. What was his name? Just now I'm forgetting the name. And he saw him in destitute condition, so he gave him he was selling blankets. So he gave him very nice quilts, very fancy quilts. So one day when when Sanatana Goswami came to Chandrasekhar's house, Mahaprabhu was looking at that blanket from the corner of his eye. So Sanatana Goswami, he can understand. He could understand he's presenting himself as a beggar, and he's wandering around with this nice first-class quilt. So immediately he ran from Chandrasekhar's house, he went to the Ganga, he found one poor Brahmin was there with an old torn blanket, washing it in the Ganga. He said, "My dear sir, I'll trade you." He said, "My dear sir, you appear to be a gentleman, why are you joking with me in this nasty way? Why are you joking with me like this?" "No, no, I'm serious, give me that old quilt." "No, no, why are you joking?" "No, no." By force he grabbed that blanket and gave that nice quilt to that poor beggar man. When he came back, Mahaprabhu said, "Yes, if you present yourself as a beggar before the people and you're wearing nice cloth, it is a farce. It is a farce." Just like Ambarish Prabhu told me, I see the people that I give donations to, I'm flying economy class. And I see the people that I'm giving donations to, they're flying in first class. We should be very humble and careful. Whatever donation, that should go for Krishna's service. So he said, "Yes, it is a farce. You're begging and wearing this nice blanket. This is very nice." Mahaprabhu was very pleased with him. So later Mahaprabhu left on his way back to Puri, and he sent Sanatan to go to Vrindavan. He gave him, that we told yesterday, although that story, I gave him 2 duties: to find a nice place for him to stay and find that deity. He also gave him the duty to find out the lost holy places and to write scriptures. 4 duties he gave. And Sanatana Goswami completed all those duties. That 2 days ago we discussed. We left out one very nice story about Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan. What happened, somewhere in UP, I've forgotten the name of the village, there was a very poor man. He was so poor, actually, in old days, when Birijan's wife Jagatarni was here, she made a whole puppet show. Then she went to Bombay, she got all these famous movie stars, right? To make the voices in Hindi. To go around the villages and show this puppet show. So it's very sweet. You hear the famous voices in the background and they're talking all the things. So this poor Brahman, this poor beggar man, he didn't even have enough, what to speak of enough to eat. He didn't even have a pot to put it in to cook it, even if he had something to eat. He was so poor. But he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. He was always worshiping Lord Shiva, that please give me the most valuable thing. Finally he got ready to cut off his head, and Lord Shiva appeared from the fire. "What are you doing, you foolish guy? Don't have to do like that." He said, "Please give me the most valuable thing. I'm suffering so much. I don't have what to speak of eat. I don't even have a pot to cook it in if I had something to eat." So Lord Shiva told him, "You go to Vrindavan you find out Sanatana Goswami, he has got the most valuable thing in the world. So he was very happy. Oh, Lord Shiva's given me a good benediction. He ran to Vrindavan. That time there wasn't any, you didn't go by jet airways or roadways bus. He somehow got here to Vrindavan. He found out Sanatana Goswami there at that Dwadasha Dittatila. And he fell at his feet, oh Gosai, Lord Shiva has sent me. He said, you have the most valuable thing. Because I am very poor, please give me the most valuable thing. So Sanatana Goswami said, you want a touchstone? He said, what's a touchstone? Whatever metal you touch it to, ding, it will turn into gold. Gold. Really? You have a touchstone? Whatever metal, it becomes gold? I'll become rich, I'll have no more problems. Please give it to me. Lord Shiva promised, Lord Shiva promised. Over there in the pile of trash somewhere you'll find it. So he began looking through the trash, he found this touchstone. He touched something metal. It turned into gold. Gold! 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 I'm rich! He was running around just happily turning everything into gold, every metal into gold. One fellow saw him and said, what have you got there? He said, touchstone. Look, he touched some metal. The guy had a little aluminum tiffin. He touched it. Bing! Became gold. Acha? Where did you get this? Oh, Sanatana Goswami was keeping it. Yeah? Where was he keeping it? He was keeping, well, he had one. He said it was in the trash. It was in the trash? He gave you the most valuable thing and he was keeping it in the trash? You've been cheated. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah. If he was keeping it in the trash, he must have something more valuable. So he ran back to Sanatana Goswami. The Lord Shiva said you would give me the most valuable thing. So your touchstone is not working? It's working. But I have some doubt. You were keeping it in the trash. You must have something more valuable. Yes, I do have something more valuable. If you want that thing, then you throw that touchstone in the Jamuna. Because you know, Dwadasa Dittatila used to be on the bank of Jamuna. Throw the touchstone in the Jamuna? If you want the most valuable thing, then just throw his touchstone as nothing. That's why he's keeping it in trash. But, you want the most valuable thing? So very reluctantly he threw it in the Jamuna. And Sanatana Goswami sit down and chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Sanatana Goswami gave him the most valuable thing, the touchstone of the holy name of the Lord, which can change our whole life and take us to the highest perfection of Krishna Prem. So we already told about all of the different pastimes of Sanatana Goswami, how he found the Madan Mohan Didi, how the temple was built, how he was staying at Chakleswar. So since it's his disappearance day, well, we should talk about his books, because Mahaprabhu told him one of the fourth thing was, one was to find Madan Mohan, find a nice place for me to stay, reveal the holy places. Actually, we've heard how they were just wandering here and there and staying under one tree and one night, one tree another night. Exoterically, they were showing renunciation. Can you imagine? You come to Vrindavan, you have to stay in one guest house one night, another one, another, big trouble. We're very attached to stay in one place. Just like Daksha, he thought that the most horrible thing he could curse Narad Muni is you cannot stay anywhere for more than a few minutes. He thought the householder just wants to stay in one place and enjoy. So exoterically they were showing renunciation, only staying one tree one night, another tree another night. Esoterically they would stay under a tree, in the night they would get dream what pastime happened in that place. Because Mahaprabhu asked them to reveal all the holy places of Braj. So they would stay under a tree one night, reveal that pastime, they'd stay under another tree and reveal that pastime. Later they began staying in one place, because actually Sanatana Goswami, another one of his bhajan kutirs, we'll talk a little more about Vrindavan, we left some stories. He was staying in Pavan Sarovar. And he was just sitting under the trees, no shelter. He was fasting, not eating anything. And this little cowherd boy came and said, Baba, Baba, why are you fasting? Why are you fasting, Baba? So how do you know I'm fasting? I herd my cows by here every day. I see you and I never see you eat. So why are you fasting? Here, you take some milk. I'll come for my pot later. So he gave a pot of very wonderful milk and he disappeared. As soon as Sanatana Goswami drank that milk, he understood that it was Krishna himself had brought that milk. You go to the Bhajan Kutir in Pavan where you see a beautiful picture of this little gwal with a pot of milk for Sanatana Goswami. And the Brishbazis, then by Krishna arranged, the Brishbazis noticed him, so they built a little kutir for him. He stayed there at Pavan Sarovar. The beautiful Bhajan Kutir is there in Pavan Sarovar. So he co-authored this Hari Bhakti Vilas with our Gopal Bhatta Goswami, which gives us all the rules and rituals of Vaishnavas. And of course his crowning work, of course we know, is Brihad Bhagavata Amrita, the great nectar of the Bhagavata. The first part tells how Narad Muni goes on a very esoteric tour to find out the greatest devotee. And the second part of Brihad Bhagavata Amrita is all about Gop Kumar and how he goes back to home, back to Godhead. Wonderful book written, and he also wrote his own commentary. Sometimes people write a book and then somebody else writes a commentary, so maybe they got the idea, maybe they didn't get the idea. But the author himself, he knows what he was trying to communicate. So when the author himself writes a commentary, that is more important than somebody else's commentary, because somebody else may have guessed something wrong. So that is now our dear departed godbrother, the late Gopi Pranadhana. He translated this wonderful book in BBT, first book by non-Prabhupada book that BBT ever published, this Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in 3 volumes. So wonderful, treasure house. Prabhupada said, if you want to know all the secrets of devotional service, you study this Brihad Bhagavatamrita of Sanatana Goswami. And then his Brihad Vaishnav Toshani Tika, he's written a commentary on 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This very, very wonderful information. He tells how, in his Tika he tells actually Krishna lifting over downhill with his left hand, not with his little finger. He lifted it with his left hand. But when Mother Yasoda saw Lala holding up the hill with his left hand, then she got very worried. So then Sanatana Goswami says, then he put it on his little pinky. Look, Mom, it's no trouble. All types of sweet little things he's revealed. Just like there's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam when Krishna and Balaram returned from their Sandipani Muni schooling, and they heard how Krishna and Balaram saved the lost sons of Sandipani Muni who had gone to the kingdom of death. Then Mother Devaki said, Are, for your guru, and what about your own mother? All my sons died? You cannot bring them back? So that verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, they all immediately appeared out of affection, milk began to flow from Devaki's breast, and drinking that it says specifically, Mahaprasad of the Lord, they were immediately liberated, going back to the spiritual world. They appeared, they drank milk. So Sanatana Goswami in his Tika, he describes, how was that milk Mahaprasad? Because we know that from his very childhood, from his birth, he went to Gokul, and Mother Yasoda fed him milk. So how was Devaki's milk Mahaprasad? So Sanatana Goswami in his Tika explains that actually Devaki thought that now this little boy, he's just been born, he's going on this big long trip across the Jamuna all the way to Gokul, he might be hungry. So then she fed him milk from her breast. So the milk of Devaki's breast became Mahaprasad. So like this, so many wonderful things are there, and he describes how Kansa's material consciousness and Devaki represents bhakti, and she's afraid of her brother because a devotee, he's afraid of material consciousness. By that fear, then our six friends are cleaned from the heart. Because those 6 sons of Devaki, they were none other than, it's a long history, but anyway, they were Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad and Matsarya. Our very dear friends that we entertain within our hearts all day long. But by her fear of Kams, those 6 sons represent that by that fear of Kams, all these things are wiped out from the heart. We should be afraid of material consciousness. Like Devaki, he was afraid of Kams. So many wonderful things Sanatana Goswami has revealed. So this day is his disappearance day. If you go to Govardhan, you won't be able to get near Govardhan. The police will stop your car well before Govardhan. You won't be able to get one sheet of the songbook. You won't be get between the people doing Prikrama today. Completely crowded. They call it Muriya Purnima. Comes from the word, this is Brij Bhasa, comes from the word Mundan. Mundan means to shave up. Like hopefully I can shave up today. The hair is getting too long. So Mahaprabhu immediately told, shave up the Sanatana Goswami. So maybe I can shave up today. So when somebody dies, immediately we shave our head. So that became famous as Muriya Purnima. Sanatana Goswami left on this Purnima, so everyone shaved their heads. So it's still famous as Muriya Purnima and Muriya Prikrama. You will see thousands and not thousands, hundreds of thousands of people doing Prikrama of Govardhan today. Because we heard Sanatana Goswami, he was staying there at Manasi Ganga at Chakleswar. And on this Vyas Purnima, Guru Purnima day, all the Gaudiya Vaishnava sadhus of Braj used to come to see him. And he would take them on Prikrama all around Manasi Ganga, showing all the holy places. There's one place called Mukatmani. There's a stone, you can see Krishna's peacock feather in the stone. Like that. Mukharabind is there of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So many places, Manasi Devi, Hari Dev, so many, Brahmakund, so many incredible places are there. So Sanatana Goswami, he used to take the Vaishnavas on Prikrama like that. So that particular day, all the Vaishnavas came, they called out, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, but there was no answer from his kutir. And everyone looked inside, and they saw Sanatana Goswami has entered into the eternal pastimes of Radha Krishna. And all the Vaishnavas began to cry, Hoi, 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 hoi. So they took the divine body of Sanatana Goswami, somehow with great difficulty they brought it here to Vrindavan, they took him on Prikrama Vrindavan, then they placed him in Samadhi at the lotus feet of Madan Mohan. Beautiful Samadhi is there. And recently we had the great fortune to remodel that. Some Russian devotee came who doesn't want his name known, he gave a donation, you please fix up this, because it was sometimes painted green, sometimes painted white, sometimes painted blue. It was all falling apart. So we covered the whole actual Samadhi with stone, nice carved stone. And then we were going to do the Darshan Mandap, and we could see that even in the archways there's cracks, it's going to fall. And we chipped off the plaster, there was nothing but little tiny bricks and mud, no cement, just mud. If we put stone on top of that, the whole thing will come crashing down. And it was rather small, so we 4 feet this way and 4 feet back. We took the whole thing down and we made a brand new one. You can see beautiful, glorious Samadhi is there now for Sanatana Goswami. So by some inconceivable mercy, we got to be able to do this service for Srila Sanatana Goswami. Srila Sanatana Goswami Padaki. We'll tell one more story. We told last time, but it's such a wonderful story, that on this day in 1977, because it always comes around June or July, when it's super hot, and we know 77, Prabhupada was lying here very sick. And B.V. Govinda Maharaj, that time he was known as the Yojapati. He thought, today is Sanatana Goswami's disappearance, I should go to his Samadhi. So he went to the Samadhi, he gave a little donation, Pujari gave him one of these little mogra malas like this. So he accepted it, he brought it back to Srila Prabhupada. He said, it's Sanatana Goswami's disappearance day, this is the mala from his samadhi. And Prabhupada took that mala in his hands and he placed it to his eyes and he looked at Ayodhyapati, he said, this is a gift from the spiritual world. Srila Sanatana Goswami Pada Ki, Sanatana Goswami Tirubha Maha Mahotsav Ki, Holy Disappearance Festival of Sanatana Goswami Ki. Hare Krishna. Eka Bhandhu Matsana.